So, have you ever actually looked up at the moon and thought, who owns that? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But believe it or not, there's a real legal answer. And today, we're going to untangle that whole mess. And this quote from Ivan Boisky, it just hits the nail on the head. What good is the moon if you can't buy or sell it? I mean, it perfectly captures that split, doesn't it? For every one of us who looks up in awe, there's someone else looking up and seeing dollar signs. So, to really get to the bottom of this whole cosmic puzzle, we're diving deep into the work of Virgiliu Pop. His book, Who Owns the Moon, is basically our roadmap for this whole explainer. It's going to help us sort through all the crazy claims and actual laws. Okay, let's dive right in. The history of people trying to sell cosmic real estate is, well, it's pretty wild. And honestly, kind of hilarious. It's this amazing story of pure ambition, creative loopholes, and just a whole lot of nerve.
So let's start with the big one, Dennis Hope. You might have heard of him. Back in 1980, this guy literally walks into a government office, files a declaration of ownership for the entire moon, and bam, starts the Lunar Embassy. He calls himself the head cheese, and you won't believe it, but he sold millions of acres of moon property to all sorts of people, even some celebrities. But here's the thing, Hope was not the first, not by a long shot. People have been trying to pull this off for over 100 years. You had guys in the 1890s selling plots on Luna. Then in 1936, one fella claims all the planets. And my personal favorite has to be the Chilean lawyer in '53 who claimed the moon just so he could get into a social club. You can't make this stuff up.
Okay, so this brings up the big question, right? With all these colorful characters and their bold claims, can any of this actually be legal? Can you really just claim the moon and start selling it off? Well, to find the real answer, we have to zoom out, way out. We're not talking about local county offices anymore. We're talking about international law. This is where all those grand, ambitious claims meet the cold, hard reality of global treaties. And here it is. This is the big one. Article 2 of the 1967 Outer Space Treaty. It's called the Non-Appropriation Principle, and it's super clear. Outer space, and that includes the moon, cannot be claimed by any nation. Not by planting a flag, not by use or occupation, not by any other means. Period. Okay, so now that we have that treaty in our back pocket, let's see how the whole lunar landlord business model completely falls apart. There are 3 key legal takedowns that just dismantle their entire argument. First up, there's this really fundamental legal idea of possession. See, to actually own something in the eyes of the law, you need 2 things. You need the intention to own it, but you also need to physically possess it. You have to have control. And that's the problem. These guys might have the intention, for sure, but they have absolutely no physical control. Their claim is just an idea. And this leads to another huge flaw in their logic. They always say, well, I sent a letter to the UN and they never wrote back, so that means they agree. But that's not how it works. This quote from a UN legal officer puts it perfectly. Just because someone doesn't respond to your ridiculous claim, it doesn't mean they're okay with it. Silence is not consent here. And here's the real kicker. The final nail in the coffin actually comes from the sellers themselves. You see, to protect themselves from being sued for fraud, they have to legally classify these deeds as novelty gifts. It's just for fun. But that's the catch-22, right? If it's just a novelty item, then it has 0 real legal value. It's basically monopoly money. Their own defense is what proves the whole thing is worthless. So let's recap. Individuals can't own it. Nations can't own it. So who does own the moon? Well, that question gets us to its real legal status and what the future might hold. The official legal term for what the moon is a global commons. Think of it like the high seas or Antarctica. It belongs to, well, everybody and nobody at the same time. It's a shared resource for all of humanity. Anyone can explore it, but no one can own it. Now, looking ahead, there are basically 2 big competing ideas about how we should handle space. On one side, you have the frontier idea. It's all about individualism, competition, basically a free-for-all. On the other side, you have the common heritage of mankind idea. This one says we should all manage space resources together for the good of everyone. And this is where things get really interesting today. Because now, we're not just talking about selling deeds. We're talking about private companies that are seriously planning to mine the moon and asteroids. And this whole debate boils down to a really modern question. What can you actually take? So here's the crucial distinction.
The bottom line is this. You cannot own the land. That's totally forbidden by the treaty. But, and this is a huge but, you can own the resources you mine from that land. The best analogy is you can't own the factory, but you can own the widgets you make inside it. You can't own the moon, but you can't own the moon rocks you dig up. And that is the giant legal gray area where the whole future of space business is being fought over right now. And that leaves us with the big, open question for our future. As we're genuinely heading back to the stars, with more countries and private companies in the mix than ever before, who gets to write the new rules? Those laws from the 1960s are about to get tested in ways no one ever imagined. This isn't theoretical anymore. The race is on.